Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Got another install for you today, so let's get straight into it. So today's install is going to be the IAG AOS. Because we've got aftermarket accessories and we're a right-hand drive car, we've had to do things a little differently. So in the intro there, you would have seen me remove the intake pipe to the throttle body from the front mount intercooler, and I've gone ahead and removed in Australia, the driver's side fan. In the US, it's going to be the passenger side fan, and this will allow us to get down in there to disconnect that pipe. I'll get straight into the install, and this one's going to be a little bit different because we've got a new camera. First thing you're going to notice is we've got this lovely new POV camera. I'm going to be trialing it out on this video, so let me know how it goes and what you think. Following IAG's instructions, we're going to crack this plastic manifold here on this pipe. Following Smeedia's recommendations, I'm going to use a Dremel and just cut it open. Okay, we're finished cutting. Just see what we get here, and out she comes. We've got that little, we've got an O-ring, and we've got that little clip there that I'll just pop out. And that should slide right up. So if it just needed to undo that metal clip a bit more. Next up is this one down here on the intake manifold just before the turbo. Another one of these metal clips, and that's out. That's the other end of that pipe, and we should be able to lift that up and off. I may actually need to take the charge pipe out of the way, so give me a second and we'll come back and get this pipe off. And we're back. As you can see, I've had to take out the charge pipe from the turbo to my front mount intercooler. That required me taking out the complete air box, and we're finally getting onto it. IAG specifies next to put and this is actually a good indication of I've potentially got some oil going into my intake. And this is exactly what the IAG AOS is meant to eliminate. So we'll get the IAG part on top of that. I'll just put a quick rag in the turbo inlet there so we don't do any damage. Get the part on the intake manifold there, and we'll proceed on to the next steps. So this is the part from IAG. It's very similar to the stock piece with that metal clip. We'll just pop that out and insert it down onto that point down the bottom there. Because I've got the parent intake manifold, it's a bit squishy, but that does seem to be sitting on there nice and snug now. From here, we'll continue on to the next steps in the IAG instructions. Next step is to follow the big pipe down to the block. There's a hose connection down there. Just see if we can sneak our pliers in there and pull that back. Seems like that's worked, so we'll try and pull up on that now. Hopefully we've got that far enough up. Okay, sorry that took a while. Had issues getting the hose off the PCV valve. As you can see, there's also a little bit of oil in the PCV valve again. So doing what we're doing today is actually a good thing. I'll get that out. That is a 27mm deep socket, which I just purchased yesterday. We'll take that out and plug it back in with the supplied piece from IAG again. Oh, I need to go get my breaker bar on this one. We'll keep this PCV valve, as that is needed later on with other pieces. Next, we're going to grab the supply piece from IAG. This is, we've already pre-coated it in Teflon. We've grabbed our 19mm socket, swap this all over, and we'll get this back in the car. Okay, that took a bit of work. We finally got the IAG piece in here. So we'll move on to the next step, which I think is a coolant line on the other side of the throttle body. So let's get to it. Actually, the next steps call for the hoses and the mounting of the AOS, and this is where we get something special. Because we are a right-hand drive, the current bracket doesn't actually work. So in conjunction with Y Customs, who is a good mate of mine, we've 3D printed up this special bracket, and this will mount in some special places. So let's get mounting and get into it. So as you can see, it's a fully custom bracket that has been designed based off a scan of the actual part and hugs the part quite nicely. This will mount to the old intercooler mount and a spare brace we've found inside the thing, and still allows for all our hose connections. Going off the next step of instructions, we should be looking at these two hoses here. I'll just double check which one goes where. So we've got the 27-inch coolant hose with the right-hand adapter. This will go on the inside here, and this other one will go on the opposite side. And then we'll get the AOS mounted up. As you can see, all the hoses are allowed fitting, and we'll get the AOS mounted up now. So taking our AOS, we are going to plant it. Close it there. We're going to go one bolt in the front, using the old intercooler mounting. Just get that in my hand first. And then the other one is down here. In the US, this would be used for a brake line. But here in Australia, it's just a random bracket. Let's get this last bolt in. and just snug them down. And there we go, nice strong mount for the AOS. And we've still got the hoses going in the directions that they need to. And we'll still have access to that third one. Perfect. We'll get on to the next steps then. Okay, next step is to disconnect this coolant hose right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some coolant ply clamps on it, just below, about there. That should hopefully hold that. I'll also just chuck this rag back underneath, just to prevent any coolant coming out. The car hasn't been running, so there shouldn't be too much. I've already pre-run these hoses. At the moment, it looks like the best routing for them is going to be behind and underneath the pitch stop mount. The hose with the empty end is going to go into that same connection, with the right hand end going back into the original hose. Just pull that back slightly, and we're going to try and wriggle. Wow, hose should be further down than you think. And we've got that original hose off. I am going to plug this 90° straight back into it, prevent any coolant leaks, and we'll feed the new hose up and around. And on. So we've got those both on, and we'll just quickly redo up these clamps. This is There's one hose clamped and up. Let's feed that back into the throttle body. And I'll just see if I can reach the new clamp on the new hose. I might just have to tilt that down to get it at a good angle. And there we go. So I'll just poke my head back in there. Got that clamp on that hose. I might just drop that down a little bit. And we've got the coolant hose just there. I might use some of the zip ties, zip tie those together over here, and zip tie them back a bit further. Okay, next step as per the instructions is for the Y hose. And just double checking. It's got the 90 and the straight fitting on it. So the Y piece itself goes down into that new piece we've just installed on the back of the block. Feed that down. Give it a bit of a wiggle to get into here. Click. Now from reading the instructions, I probably needed to feed a hose elsewhere. Give me a second, I'll have to come back on this. Okay, so the problem there was I needed to reroute one of the hoses to get it to the right angle. So I needed to pop the whole thing off and redo it. That would be the 90° here, which I'm now going to plug in on the bottom one here. We've then got the straight fitting, which I'll route around and onto the bottom of the AOS, like so. I will do a little bit of hose management now, as this is looking pretty gnarly back here. It's definitely not ideal, but I will get to it because this is actually designed to be a bit further over, so a lot of these hoses are a fraction too long for what they're supposed to be. Okay, had to reroute a few hoses here. Nothing's actually tied down just yet. I'm probably going to cut all these cable ties out as well and just do some rerouting right at the very end. This hose I've had to reroute around the back, otherwise it was compressing on itself and probably gonna not let any fluid through. This one, thankfully nice and short, so it's not running too badly. Next up will be this one, and that goes to our front section here. So we'll get that hose on, and then we'll deal with the old PCV hose and go from there. We've only got 3 more hoses to go. So we've got this nice long 45 ended piece. The section with the metal goes onto our old connection here. And it slots in like that, nice and secure. This hose will route through the back, and I'm probably going to route it underneath the aircon and down through a few other sections here. And that one's just going to click in like so. I will tie that probably up to about here and here, keep it off the gearbox, but that's a lot easier when we've got a lot more hose to work with. Probably could have routed it underneath this one here as well, so I might just pop that back off and redo that. But for the moment, we're all good. Next up, we're actually going to go a bit out of order and get the front one done first. This one's got a 45 and a 90 on it. 90 is going to go into the top of the AOS. And that fitting we did at the front, we're just going to plug straight into that. The routing on this at the moment, I'm pretty happy with. Doesn't interfere with anything. And I might just go to the local hardware store and get a hose clamp that I can put onto here. With that, we've got one more hose left, so let's get to it. I've already gone ahead and cut off a piece of hose from the original bit, and that's because I had to slice into it to get it off the actual original PCV valve. I've also gone ahead and prepped up the PCV valve. This is the stock section from the back of the breather block, and this is the part that IAG supplies. We're going to plug this into the hose that it came out of, just like that. And we're going to plug the supplied hose from IAG into there and into the AOS. I'm just going to do up this hose clamp real quick, and then we'll get onto that. Redo that hose clamp up, and we've got a bit of shielding. I'll get the last hose, which is this short 90-90. I've already worked out the routing. We're going to plug in one end here, and we're going to go out and around through this mess of already existing hoses and in just like that. I might just need to rotate it around just like so it's not kinked in any way. And for now, that's the actual AOS installed. I will go offline and reinstall everything I've taken out. And we'll come back at the end and have a look at the final product. Now that we're finished with the install, I'm going to go ahead and bleed the system. This requires just turning on the car, and there's the bleeder valve on the back here. It's just a 3mm thing, so I'm just going to go ahead, start the car up and crack that until we get some coolant through. And it's as simple as that. We'll just crack that for a few seconds, let the car come up to temp, and bled the valve. It's the next day. I've been driving the car around a little bit and everything's back together, as you can see. We've got intake ball back together. AOS is up there in the back left corner. Got the intake piping all back together. And cleaned up all the hoses. There's still one hose I'm not entirely happy about, but that's okay. Yeah, been driving it around the last couple of hours, just making sure we don't have any leaks and everything's working as planned, and everything seems pretty good to me. And with that, that completes the install of the IAG AOS. That was actually a relatively easy install. Hope you enjoyed the POV views on this one. I'll try to continue those on upcoming videos. And for further information, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow my other socials, and I'll see you in the next video.